It's been discussed over and over again here on the release. I wanted to let you know that in a recent discussion with Global Vice President of Uber, and I had the opportunity to raise a number of concerns with them, and one of the things that they shared was that they have a new users form where you can submit issues related to voiceover or talkback accessibility issues in the mobile app for Uber. Now the link for this is quite complicated. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of Braille or something. It's quite a lengthy link. So we're gonna post it in the chat. I won't read it to you because you won't remember it. I wouldn't remember it. And we will distribute it in other places. But I do encourage you, I think this is a positive step that Uber has taken to take direct feedback from users and to make this link available so that you can post to it problems that you find in the app. Usually we find these problems when there's an update. I told them what an annoyance, and in fact, sometimes it's a blocker for us. So they are at least taking it seriously. I do encourage you to post to this link, and I would also encourage you to maybe cross-post those bugs to our tracking form so that we can measure whether Uber is actually moving on those things. But I think that's a positive step, one positive step on Uber's part, so I would encourage you to use that. Also on advocacy, I wanted you to know that on March 14th, the National Federation of the Blind submitted public comments on the AbilityOne Commission's draft policy 51.401, which regulates the process for nonprofit agencies to become eligible to operate federal contracts under the AbilityOne program. We specifically commended the AbilityOne Commission for banning the discriminatory practice of paying blind people less than the minimum or prevailing wage through 14C certificates. This is a powerful message to blind Americans about our contributions and our role in employment programs. But we believe that the AbilityOne Commission can and should do more. In fact, should take the final step to prohibit nonprofit agencies that hold a 14C certificate for any purpose from becoming an AbilityOne qualified nonprofit agency at all. We also encourage the AbilityOne Commission to establish a firm deadline for the complete disqualification of any qualified nonprofit agency holding a 14C certificate. If you're interested in reading our full comments so you can be aware of them, you can find them at nfb.org on the policy statements page. Anytime we post comments or regulatory letters, we post them on our website so our members are fully informed about the work that we've done. If you have questions about our work on AbilityOne or our recent comments, you can reach out to Jesse Schierick, our governmental affairs specialist. Jesse can be reached at our main number here at extension 2348 or J. Schierick at nfb.org. That's JSHIREK at nfb.org. Our Newsline group would like me to remind you that NFB Newsline offers a number of ways to customize ways that you can enhance your reading experience on the Newsline system. Some key features that you may or may not be using is that you can create a favorites list. You can use article navigation, so that's the ability to skip articles or sections of the paper to move quickly through it to find content you want. You can use the continuous reading mode. You have various voice options for changing the voice, the speed, and the pitch of the voice. There's also a global search feature that allows you to easily find content of interest. And of course, in 2024, a lot of times when we find something interesting, we want to share it. And so there are social media sharing options within the NFB Newsline system. These customization options are all designed to provide users with the flexibility that is desired. If you have other ideas about ways that you would like to better access and manipulate the Newsline content, I know our Newsline group would love to hear about them. Now, I do want to welcome the NFB of Idaho as the newest contributor to our pre-authorized contribution program, the PAC plan. You too can help support financially the work of the Federation by getting on the PAC plan. If you would like to do so, please visit nfb.org/PAC and we'll get you signed up today. I do have a number of Federation family notes to share with you here on this release, and the first is to let you know about our Dream Maker Circle. That's an opportunity for people to declare an end-of-life gift to the National Federation of the Blind, and many have and continue to sign up, and thank you to our Dream Maker Circle participants. I do want to acknowledge this month Madeline and Jerry Marino of Matthews, North Carolina, for being the newest members of the Dream Maker Circle. I also bring it up here because I learned just yesterday that Madeline, on a trip to Chicago, broke her hip. So Madeline, if you're listening live or later on, we hope that you are recovering well, and I know we send Federation warm wishes from across the nation. I do have a number of unfortunate passings to talk to you about, and the first is from Louisiana, where Pam Allen shares the passing of Maddie Dixon, longtime NFB of Louisiana member and mother of Gerald Dixon. And Maddie passed away on March 30th. Gerald is a dedicated president of our Northeast chapter of the NFB of Louisiana, and Maddie was a longtime friend and supporter of the blind of Louisiana and the nation. From Montana, I regret to tell you of the passing of Dar Aldrich on Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Dar was an active member of the Montana affiliate since she moved there in the early part of this century, and she is survived by her husband of almost 19 years, Jim Aldrich, who has been a leader at various levels in our affiliate in Montana and currently is an affiliate board member. From New Mexico, Adelmo Vigil shares with us that Joe Cordova passed away on March 20th, 2024. Adelmo notes that Joe was a longtime leader in the New Mexico affiliate and had an impact by mentoring people from all over the United States. Adelmo also says that Joe was one of the people who encouraged Adelmo to get involved in the National Federation of the Blind, and Adelmo says he expresses his great sadness that Joe is no longer with us. Also from New Mexico, I want to share the passing of Jack Munson early in the morning of Saturday, March 9th, 2024. You should keep Pat Munson, a longtime Federation leader, in your thoughts and prayers. Also from Georgia, I regret to share the passing of Raphael Lewis, who passed away on Thursday, March 28th, 2024. You should especially keep Raphael's siblings, Patrice Lewis and Anil Lewis, who are also leaders in our Georgia affiliate, in your thoughts and prayers. And as we're talking about losses in the Federation, I do want to share my appreciation for the Federation community reaching out to me just today. I learned earlier today that my father, Sebastian Riccobono, passed away. He was not active in the Federation, but he did support the work that we did and do, and as an individual who served in the United States military, he had a great appreciation for our disabled veteran community. So I'm here today at this release wearing my Blinded Veterans Navy dog tag in honor of my dad, and I appreciate the great sympathies that have been sent from Federationists all over the country. Now, I do have a joyous piece of news to share with you on this release that comes from Norma Crosby of Texas, and that is on March 8th, Aria Christiana Rose Franks came into the world weighing 6 pounds and 9 ounces and measuring 18 inches long. Aria is the daughter of our Austin chapter president, Jonathan Franks, and his wife, Ashley, who is a leader in her own right. Norma notes that she is so proud to share this information with the Federation family, and she says that everybody's doing fine, and so I'd like to welcome the newest member of the National Federation of the Blind. Congratulations to the Frank family. Pam, I think that's what I have for this part of the release. So I think we should talk a little bit about the Louisiana Center. What do you think?
I think that sounds great, President Riccobono. And before we do that, we just want to share with you from Louisiana, and I know I speak on behalf of everyone around the country, we know how proud of you your dad is, and what an important part of your family he was, and we're just sending our love to you from all around the country, and our support to you and to Melissa and the kids and your family at this time.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And as you know, Pam, because you've been through some of these experiences, the fact that we have this Federation family makes just a huge difference in our lives. So we do appreciate that.
That is definitely for sure.
So that's why I'm not in Louisiana. It's a legitimate reason, but I'm looking forward to coming another time. But we did want to highlight the great work of the Louisiana Center for the Blind, and to note that today we don't think about the early struggles of creating something like the Louisiana Center for the Blind, because for many in the organized blind movement today, it's just always been there, right? We didn't know, you might not have known a time before it wasn't there. And so I thought it was appropriate, and want to welcome now to the release Joanne Wilson, who was the founder and first director of the Louisiana Center for the Blind. She has served in many capacities across the Federation. She's served as one of our national officers, but we've invited her to the release today to talk about the founding of the Louisiana Center in 1985 and some of the core values that led to it. So Joanne, really great to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
So yeah, go ahead, Joanne. Just jump right in.
Well, I do? Okay. All right. You know me. Okay. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's listening to this presidential release, and that's everyone that's involved in the National Federation of the Blind, because you are absolutely essential in the development of our centers over many, many decades. And Mark, I want to say to you that being here tonight has to be a huge source of pride for your father. He had to be very, very proud of your leadership and to know what you are accomplishing in helping blind people all over this country. And so I share your sorrow with him, but I also share his pride with you. The Louisiana Center for the Blind was started technically October 1st, 1985. And it started when a group of federationists that belonged to the Louisiana affiliate went to see the governor of the state, Edwin Edwards, and he, and along with the help of Mary Lander, who was then a state senator, gave us our first chunk of money to start the Louisiana Center for the Blind in Ruston, Louisiana. But the center was actually, the idea of it was started much earlier, back in 1940, when a group of blind people got together and said, we know what we need for blind people. And they started the National Federation of the Blind. And then in the 50s, they started thinking, okay, we've developed these techniques to make blind people independent. We've developed a belief, a new way of thinking about blindness. So now we've got to put it into practice. We've got to show that all our ideas really work. So in 1958, Kenneth Jernigan took over the worst agency for the blind in the country, the Iowa Commission for the Blind. So he moved to Iowa, and one of the first things he did was start our first NFB training center. It so happens that I was a kid in Iowa, and in 1966, a scared teenager who would pray every day to get her eyesight back and was spending most of my time trying to fake sight and really didn't even want to say the word blind, went to Dr. Jernigan's center. And there I learned skills, which we still teach at all our centers, but they weren't just taught in the normal way. We were pushed and shoved and expected to do things that we didn't believe we could do. We did what we call now structured discovery. We did problem solving. We were surrounded with blind role models. And we pushed ourselves and learned the skills. But more importantly than that, we learned a new way of thinking about blindness. We learned the Federation philosophy, the ideas and notions that had been started back in 1940 by the collective blind. We learned that the real problem with blindness isn't the loss of eyesight, but it's rather the misconceptions and the misunderstandings that exist about blindness. We learned that with the proper training and opportunity, we could become independent, normal, blind people and do what our sighted counterparts are doing. Now, I'm trying to tell you that you are part of all of this because you are a part of the Federation. One of the big things that was taught to me by Dr. Jernigan, and which I taught and which Pam and our other centers are now teaching students that go through our training programs, is the importance of belonging and getting involved with the National Federation of the Blind. By getting involved with the Federation, the students will have a continuing support group, a group of people that will tell them about the latest technology, what jobs are available, what's good in education, what can we do in education when we get picked upon and don't get what we need. We learn how to advocate. By giving our students the Federation, we give them an ongoing support group. And you know what else we do for our students by giving them the Federation? Is we give them something to give back to. You know, if you're going to be happy in life, if you're ever going to feel satisfaction or feel purpose, you need to give back to something. And the Federation, as a blind person, is the logical thing to give back to so that we feel fulfilled and we feel that we can really accomplish things and that our life has some real purpose. And in giving back to the Federation, we get involved, and hopefully our students then become future leaders and push the word on, push our movement on, push the cause on, push the training on. You know, I'm getting to be an old lady now, you know, and I look back at my life and I think, oh, what was it all about? And I bet some of you do that too. The Federation gave me purpose. It gave me purpose as a blind person, as a human being. And it can do the same for you. It gives you purpose. And that's the secret that we need to pass on to our students. You know, we want to belong to something and want to give to something that's beyond us. And, you know, after I left the Louisiana Center for the Blind in 2001, thank God Pam Allen and Roland Allen were there, and they took over the center. And it's the same with our other centers. You know, the first leaders went on and others took over. And I thank every day Pam and Roland and the other staff at the Louisiana Center for the Blind for keeping our dream going. The dream that started in 1940 and went on 1985 and 2001, and it's continuing today. It's continuing to change the lives of blind people. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you again for being there. You know, the Federation, you can be part of the movement, but I also want you to remember that you're part of changing individual lives of our blind students that have gone through our Federation centers. Because you're there, we have a new kind of training in this country. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Joanne. You know, a lot of questions come to mind that I should throw at you, but we are short on time. But one question, I guess, is, you know, I think people don't appreciate how hard it is to go from nothing to something, right? I mean, you were part of, you know, building what today I think people take for granted as, you know, as something really significant. But it had to start somewhere, and that took a lot of hard work and sacrifice by you and others, the first staff members at the Louisiana Center for the Blind. What would you say was, I mean, you've already credited the movement as being, you know, kind of a rock for that, but what was the main motivation for you and the early staff members at the LCB to keep pushing forward, even though the rest of the blindness field really was just waiting for the effort to fail?
You're right. They hated us. They were looking for things to shoot us down for. But that happened in 1942 and 1958 when Dr. Jernigan went there. You know, I think what motivated me personally, and when I look at the staff, my original staff, Jerry and Marilyn Whittle, Ruth Sager, Arlene Hill, Roland Allen, Pam Allen, Suzanne Mitchell, what motivated them was that the Federation had changed their lives. It had personally touched them and changed their lives. And they had a deep-seated need to pass that on to other people, And now, our senators are all of them are looking for other folks that have that same need, drive to be a part of something bigger in their life, to have purpose and to give.
Well, there are a lot more questions we could throw at you, Joanne, but I just want to say you don't act like an old lady.
Thanks.
Well, it's great to have you. I wish we had more time, but I do encourage folks, if you haven't had the opportunity to spend any time with Joanne, get to know her, please hunt her down at a national convention. I first got to know Joanne in North Dakota. That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But thank you, Joanne, for your work, for joining us on this release, and for leaving a legacy that Pam Allen has continued to build on, as you've noted. And we appreciate your continued efforts to build the National Federation of the Blind.
Thank you.
All right. Pam, do we have, Pam, did you want to add anything
Well,
before Joanne runs away?
I just want to say thank you, Joanne. I'm ringing our freedom bell here that Joanne rang many a time. We have a tradition at the center of ringing a freedom bell to celebrate successes. And we couldn't do the work that we do here without your encouragement and your example, Joanne, and all the people that have come before all of us. We have an awesome staff and an awesome group of students and alumni, and the future, is bright because so many people want to be part of something bigger and to give back. So thank you so much. We are just grateful, so grateful. So great to hear your perspective tonight. Great to be with you, and thank you again.
All right. Well, we could throw the questions at Joanne, but probably she doesn't want us to do that. So. Do you have any questions, Pam?
Oh, I can get into a lot of detail. It's tough work, but it's fun work. It gives you a lot.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
For sure. So, and we have some great questions, as Joanne said, and as you mentioned, Mark, the community of the National Federation of the Blind, our members from all around the country, continue to give us support and strength, and we have some great questions tonight, some that are sent in, and we also have a live question. So
cool. Okay.
So first of all, we'll hope our sound will be cooperating. Our Zoom won't cancel us out. But our first question is related. We've had a lot of, everyone is getting very excited for National Convention in just a few months, and so question about any updates about the virtual experience, and also how registration is coming along.
So that's a great question. I'm not sure what the registration numbers look like. I didn't get a chance to check, but before the release. But I know in the month of March they were moving along strong. Of course, it's no surprise that the last week of May is always the crunch time when people register. It's not particularly an incentive for registering today as opposed to then, but I do encourage you to get it done early so you don't forget. The virtual convention experience, you will see information about that soon. Again, we wanted to promote coming to the convention and the convention registration. There'll be plenty of time. And of course, the virtual convention experience, you can register even up to the convention, and last year, at least during the convention. This year, the registration for the virtual convention experience will be $10, and there will be information coming out. I'm sure we'll be talking about it also on the May release, but for now, encourage you to make your plans to be with us in Orlando.
Excellent. And I know we talked about our self-advocacy earlier in some resources earlier in the presidential release, and we have a question about a person asking about an agency for the blind that is ending a program that serves blind college students and blind students, and they are wondering your thoughts about that, or our thoughts as an organization on how to help advocate.
Well, this is where the organized blind movement's really important, and being involved in an affiliate of the Federation is really important. Agencies for the blind have boards and they have staff, and unless they hear from the organized blind movement, they make decisions often in the absence of having a real strong consumer voice. Most agencies for the blind, not all of them, but most have one, if that, maybe two blind people on their boards. There are hardly any agencies in the country that are majority run by blind people. And so our affiliates, our local chapters, play a really important role in advocacy and sharing the consumer perspective with agencies for the blind. And we should not be afraid to do that. These agencies are raising money from donors with the pitch that they are helping blind people. If their program priorities are not helpful to blind people, we should tell them. And we should go to our chapter and get the support of our chapter, and go to the affiliate and get the affiliate on board. And so that's really the best way. Most agencies for the blind operate locally. Some operate in multiple states, so there's an opportunity to get a number of affiliates on board. But it's really that local community action, which we do so well in the National Federation of the Blind.
Excellent, thank you. And speaking of that, we also had a question about advocating for training. If an individual wants to receive training, I know we certainly work on this a lot at the center. How can the NFB help advocate? What should someone do if they're having difficulty with getting support for funding to attend an NFB training center?
Well, that's a great question. Maybe you want to answer that question, Pam. You deal with it every day. Do you want to answer it?
Go ahead. I'll
Okay.
chime in. You first.
All right. Well, the first thing is, definitely reaching out to the leadership of your affiliate. Oftentimes, this is not a new process for our affiliate. We've dealt with this before, and this is where the leadership of the affiliate, having those relationships with the rehab agency director, is important, because sometimes it might be a counselor that's never dealt with sending someone out of state, or has no idea why this training is important. So that is an important connect, is to talk to your affiliate president, find out who in your affiliate has that expertise or that relationship to help you. The second thing is working with our training centers to make sure you write your own justification for going to the center. A lot of times what your rehab file needs is your justification for why NFB training is going to serve you well in your employment plan. And if you do the work of writing it up, makes the counselor's job easy. Also, every state rehab program has a client assistance program. They're there to help. They're there to help make sure that the rehab agency is following informed choice and other provisions in the law. And of course, working with our center directors and those who do work to bring new students into the center, because they'll know the tips and tricks to help get you in. The other thing I would say is, if you know you want to go get training, there is a lead up process, right? It's hard in most places to flip a switch and go to training next week. And of course, our centers, it's a great program. A great problem to have is that they're running pretty close to capacity. So you need to make sure that there's going to be a spot available for you. So planning ahead if you can is a really good idea.
Excellent. I agree 100% with everything you said, and I want to say a very special thank you to everybody. So many of our affiliate presidents and leaders and our members and alumni of our centers help in that process as people are advocating. So we thank you so much for that support. I know Joanne could tell that she helped people get to the center. We're still advocating today for our training centers. And again, that happens with great support from our members of the National Federation of the Blind around the country and our graduates. So great advice. And we are, of course, as you said, Mark, our centers are here to help in that process. So,
one other thing to add there, Pam, that I think we didn't is, working with someone who has graduated from one of our centers is also a great advocacy tool, because they'll be able to articulate the outcomes in a really fresh way, especially if they're from your state, because they're an example that the agency's done it before. A lot of times rehab counselors will say, oh, we've never done that before. So yeah,
most definitely. And again, thank you. That happens all the time with our graduates, so we are really grateful for that network. And we also have a live question. So we're gonna see if this is a question from Chewy Baca, who is a technology instructor here at the Louisiana Center for the Blind and a proud member and a proud parent of Abigail and Michaela.
Be loud. Good evening, President Riccobono.
Good evening.
Thank you for taking my question. So my question is, what are your thoughts on, and this would be for new Federation people that might not know, but what are your thoughts on either parents, blind parents or prospective blind parents who are, quite frankly, afraid that their child will be taken away simply because they're blind?
That's a great question, and it's a fear that many of us have lived with, right? Because we've heard the stories, some of us experienced the stories. So I think the theme tonight fits in really well. It's what Joanne articulated. The fact that if you're a member of the National Federation of the Blind, you know who to call. You know that people have your back. And so that's first and foremost, to put your, not that you won't still have the fear, but you should feel comforted that you have a group that's going to have your back. The second part of that is talking with other blind parents. We're fortunate that there's dozens and dozens of blind parents across the country, and Lisa Maria Martinez of California heads our blind parents group. If you're thinking about parenting, get to know some of these parents and know the tips and tricks that they've used to make sure that they can stay ahead of those questions. But know that you always have the Federation in your back pocket. The one thing I would add to this is to remember that nobody is born knowing how to parent, blind or not. When our first child was born in 2006, the doctor came by. Of course, Melissa and I are both blind, and the doctor came by and said, well, I looked all around. I did not find a manual. I thought, That's a really wonderful thing to say to new parents. Not because we're blind parents, but because we're new parents, right? And society often teaches us that if we run into a problem, it's because we're blind. And parenting helps you know, it's one of the things that helps you know that's not true. you know, um, there's a lot of parenting problems that every parent runs into, every parent experiences. You learn to work through it, you learn from doing it. And blindness doesn't impact that. You'd use different techniques, but you're going to have some of those same challenges that every parent has. And the last thing I would say that I feel is really important, whether you're in an all blind relationship or whether you're with someone who is not blind, really important to talk about the techniques that you're going to use, because in a lot of cases that we handle with where blind parents have trouble, or where a relationship maybe does not work out between parents and a divorce comes about, the hierarchy of sight definitely comes into play, especially where if someone is not blind or someone in the relationship has more usable vision, the techniques have defaulted to the visual techniques. And one of the arguments is, well, we've always used the visual techniques to do everything that we do. So I think if you're going to be a parent, you should have the conversation about how are we going to do some of these things to make sure that the visual techniques aren't the default. Because there will certainly be a time when the visual model won't be available. And as blind people, we should always be in control and have the options to use the techniques that we want. And any blind parent will tell you there are definitely cases where the non-visual technique is better. I always liked being on the playground because I always knew where my kids were. Now, other parents, they'd have to get up and walk around things so they could see where their kids were. I could track my kids all over the playground from one spot. It's not what I did, but because I had bells on their shoes, and so I knew where they were going. And if they were going near the entrance to the playground, I knew it because I was tracking them auditorily. So really important conversations that we should have, and this is where our affiliates creating spaces for blind parents to connect, especially with parent individuals who want to be blind parents someday. It's a really great asset, and I know I was fortunate to know many wonderful blind parents before becoming a parent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tui, and thank you so much, President Riccobono. We appreciate the comments and the great questions tonight. And again, I'm just so honored to be with you in spirit. We know that you're feeling the support all the way there. So thank you again so much to everyone who sent in questions tonight and who shared comments. We talked about continuing to give back in the future. We have some great opportunities for professionals, people who are interested in working in the field of blindness at the Institute on Blindness at Louisiana Tech. So please learn more about that. Some great opportunities there. Thank you again, Joanne, so much for your reflections and for your story and for your sacrifice and your example and your love and support. And President Riccobono, we appreciate your reflections this evening. If we did not get a chance to get to your question tonight, please know that our outstanding communications team will be following up and thank you again to everyone who submitted questions. We're going to try one more cheer from the live here at the Louisiana Center for the Blind. As I said, our Zoom gremlin sometimes blocks out the sound, but we are definitely sending lots of cheering and lots of love to everybody around the country, and especially to President Riccobono. There you go. It is incredibly loud. I know a Zoom may not be cooperating for everyone to hear, but I promise you, our family here in Louisiana is strong and proud, and
Yeah,
very happy to share with
we
you.
got a little taste. We
All
got a
right,
little taste.
awesome. So, thank you also for the cookies. We will definitely enjoy them. And
we should say, Pam, that because we haven't, that our current Teacher of Tomorrow cohort will be coming to Louisiana Center. They're coming to the end of their time in the Teacher of Tomorrow program. And this is one of the important things that they do. And so they'll be there starting tomorrow and visiting the center and then the Institute on Blindness. So I'm really incredible opportunity for future teachers of blind students to get that grounding in high expectations. So thank you for hosting our teachers.
yeah, so thanks to Karen Anderson for the great leading of that program. And we're very excited to welcome them tomorrow and spend the weekend together. So thank you again, everyone, for being with us tonight. And please join us for the next presidential release on Wednesday, May 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern via Zoom, Nations Blind YouTube channel, our internet stream, or by asking your Amazon device to open Nations Blind. You can contact President Riccobono at 410-659-9314 or via email at officeofthepresident@nfb.org. Thank you again so much for being with us this evening. And President Riccobono, we will turn it back over to you, and we're really also excited to have Stephanie with us. So we'll be very excited to share with her this weekend too.
Excellent. Thank you, Pam. And again, thank you to our everybody at the Louisiana Center for the Blind. Sorry to miss you on this time around, but we will make an opportunity happen soon. That is what I have for this April presidential release, and we have kind of a different sort of customary ending. Our Louisiana Center for the Blind hosted the Braille Challenge recently, and the center submitted to me a little, well, I'd call it a monologue from one of the blind students that participated, and the audio is not Will Schwatka quality exactly, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and so I'm going to offer it to you here as a customary ending, also as a tongue-in-cheek commentary about some of the problems that blind students face. This young student you may see on the comedy circuit one of these times. Maybe we'll have a late night show hosted by a blind person in the future. I don't know. But here for our customary endings is Caroline Benoit from Louisiana. Let's go build the National Federation of the Blind.
My school called me the Braille Whiz because I'm the only one who knows Braille. So when my mom goes to her IEP meeting at my school, she gets all stressed, and I wonder why. Because it's not like they're gonna follow it anyway. The best thing about Braille is that me and my mom can write in code, because I can say all types of things about my dad, and he doesn't even know his name. Another cool thing about Braille is that my parents think they're all smart and all by turning off the lights at bedtime. But what they don't know is that I can just grab a Braille book and read it after bedtime, in the dark. Life is like an ice cream cone, and enjoy it before it melts.
The preceding message was brought to you by Mark Riccobono, President, National Federation of the Blind, 410-659-9314. Office of the President at nfb.org. Follow President Riccobono on Mastodon. Just search for @president@nfb.social. Let's go build the National Federation of the Blind.